listening to the QUESTionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to the QUESTionnaire.
I've just started.
Right here, for your ears, for your eyes.
The QUESTionnaire.
Get your Comic on.
Poke it out, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
Hey guys, first round's on me. I just pulled off the crime of the... It ain't a crime, it's a quest. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the QUESTionnaire. I am the unknown factor, aka that Wade Wilson of hip-hop, but as per usual, that's not what we're talking. We're talking comic books, yeah! And today, man, today's something I'm trying to think. It's been a couple times now. It's kind of funny. I wonder how long it'll be before we get through all of the co-hosts being guests as opposed to co-hosts. With that, let's bring Shiro in the house, man, helping keep the quest running smooth with those graphics. Shiro, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Like I said, seriously, in the pre-show, like it, and like I said, like I told you earlier, I don't get angry about it anymore. You know what I mean? I don't. There was a time it used to frustrate me. I'd tell you something, and then 5 minutes later, and it's done, and I'm like, that's a load of... Now, I just appreciate it. Shiro's been a great deal of assistance as far as making the show look better, making everything look just, you know what I mean? They got this nice layout you see all around here and all that. But, like I said, she ain't co-hosting today. Shiro is not co-hosting today, right? She was a guest. But, you know, I hope it don't get too barbaric, Queen, up in here, right? Yeah, Lee Newman with you. How you doing, man?
What's up?
See, I left out the third part because I was going to mispronounce it. You know, tricks of the trade, things of the craft, all that. You know, it's time. Let's do a little witchcraft, right? What's up, right? Because I heard what you guys got going is a Halloween special, correct?
That is correct.
Right? That... When is... Now, the Kickstarter's already running, correct?
Yes.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay. I really want your Kickstarter to do what Robert Kickstarter did during the show, because it was kind of awesome that his Kickstarter literally got funded while we were on the quest, which was just...
Oh, that would be so cool.
It was really... Yeah, it was really dope though, because like I heard the notification. He's like, "Man, we just got funded." And I was like, "That literally happened while we were doing this," you know. And I would love to see more of that. I hope people go out and support it. If you go to Kickstarter, there is so much, man. But let's just get into like a little bit, man. Just give us the details about what you guys got going on here, right? What's the story? What's the press? What's the pitch, right? Like, I'm blind. Don't tell me this like I'm a dude walking up at your table. Like, what's that? Because I know they do that sometimes.
Okay, so Barbarian Queen Karybdis is like throwback central. It's like all the stuff you liked from 80s cartoons, sword and sorcery, all that kind of Conan stuff, everything that was cool. You know, like a heavy metal magazine, black and white, gritty, Eastman layered Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's all of that, but it's written in the form of almost like a Saturday morning cartoon. So it's kind of serialized. So we've got like main quest stories going on, and then we do these things called side quests that are like the knowing is half the battle part. So at the end of our main story, we've got like little tidbits, little crumbs of extra goodness. And the cool thing about this particular printing is it's not just a reprint of issue 1. It's issue 1 plus 2 brand new stories. We've got a brand new one called Bats in the Belfright, or From Bat to Worse, that Shiro wanted to do. It kind of started because Shiro wanted to do a Halloween story. And the more we talked about it, the more I thought, okay, we should probably just go ahead and make this a new book, or a new part of the book. And then we'd also met this guy, Rob Coughlin, who is an incredible indie style artist, does everything like hand drawn and everything, all that kind of stuff. And just a madman, like a creative madman. And he pitched us a story, and I loved it, and Shiro loved it. And so we said, well, let's just put those 2 stories into a full new book. So it's we were a little bit shy of 24 pages, and now I think we're at 28 pages, which is pretty cool. So we kind of really bulked up the book. Shiro's got a Fright Night cover on it. We're doing other homages and stuff like Lost Boys. We're working on a little bit of Haunted Mansion goodness if we can manage to fund up. So if you're a fan of that kind of stuff, that's coming down the pipe. But the whole thing is it came because Shiro and I wanted to write a comic that was just stuff that we liked. And because we'd worked on stuff that we, different projects, and we enjoyed aspects of them. But this is literally like the mantra is it's us banging together action figures. And
that is the whole point.
If you got a sharp eye, you might actually see some Easter eggs in there of 80s and 90s action figures.
So wait, are you telling me this is the robot chicken of comic books?
Sort of. I mean, obviously, we don't want to get into any kind of legal issues, but there's definitely characters that are homages to stuff from the 80s and 90s, homages to figures, cartoons, things that we grew up with. So sharp-eyed readers are going to see a lot of stuff. And Shiro even managed to wedge in a little bit of more Canadian references in there as well. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a certain little Gaulish fella with a winged hat, but you might see him in there somewhere. So there's all kinds of stuff, and we try and wedge in. Even Rob, when he did his comic, was putting stuff in there that just fit. Like we were like, oh, this is exactly what we would have put in there. So it's tons of Easter eggs, lots of fun. It's Saturday morning cartoons for grown-ups. What's not to like about that?
Absolutely nothing. But I think it's interesting that you say, you guys have done several things, and you decided to come together and do this. And it's obviously it's a more of a passion project. You know what I mean? It's something you guys did out of love.
There is so much passion in this project. We're not even kidding. Like when Lee says that the whole point is like us two together in a room banging action figures together. Like the way we're writing it is like, oh, there's a Batman. Okay, then we're going to do a story about a lone knight that's going to meet Karybdis, who's this Barbie doll. Because that's pretty much how I talk during the scripting. Like there's the story itself, and then there's the mood of how we should be thinking when writing the story. Because we're like, would Hasbro do this?
Wait. So when you ask, would Hasbro do this, are you looking for a yes or a no answer when you're writing this?
Me, yes.
I think that's probably a no. Okay, so it goes both ways. Yes for the action figure.
Like
no
we're
for
not
the
trying to get sued by Hasbro, but the way I'm thinking about it is like, would it sell in the 80s? That's what I mean.
Oh, and this definitely is. It is steeped in that kind of stuff. But it's obviously got some modern sensibilities as far as like the way we created the characters and things like that, and how we kind of like draw on different aspects of modern culture and things like that. So we try to kind of put all the stuff that maybe made those kind of things not age that well to the side, and then we fill it with usually violence, but sometimes other stuff. So I mean, in the first panel, the guy gets cut in half. So
it's a snake; it doesn't count.
I like that. It's like, we take out the things that didn't fly, and we just normally just throw in violence. Like
it's not a lie. No lies detected. But it's cartoonish violence, so I would say it's still PG-13 violence. It's just maybe light R violence sometimes, but it is. That's not the whole. I mean, the thing is, it's got I call it the hack and slash with heart and smarts. So it's got that crazy over the top barbaric violence, but at the same time, the core of the story is about like relationships and family and all this kind of deep, like emotional connection and stuff. So the more of the book we get through and the more people read it, the more they're going to see that what we're really writing about, all that extra cool stuff is great. And we love the violence and the fantasy and all the 80s and 90s of it. But there's a deep story in there too that we've actually already plotted out to the end. So if we can manage to get this whole series done, you guys are not going to believe the turns it takes.
Well, first, for anyone that wants to look into this, there's a link right below in the description. You can check it wherever you're listening. It's there. But how far have you guys plotted this out? Like, what's the number of issues you're looking at? Have you plotted it out issue-wise like that?
So we don't have issues, but what we did was it started with basically a wish list. And so Shiro had things that they wanted to have in the story, and I had things that I wanted in the story. And we just kind of like fruit from a tree. We just start kind of picking pieces and putting them together. And the more we talked, It really was, like Shiro said, it's like kids playing with toys. It's like, okay, well, what if this happens and this toy does this? Okay, well, then this toy is going to do that. And so, and that's how we wrote it all out. And like, even now, like we've got the whole thing is, we know what happens all the way to the end of the first arc. And I could say we could easily do 10 issues, I think. I mean, the whole idea was we wrote it to be serialized. We kind of wanted to write sort of a forever comic, but we know where it ends. So if we are like, okay, I think that's enough, like our MacGuffin can go long enough, the whole thing that they're doing can go long enough that when we're ready to pop the cap on the top, we just do. And we've already got the whole epic finale ready. But we want to pull the taffy on the cool stuff as long as we can. And if it feels like it's not, if it's slowing down or we're not having as much fun, or we need to go ahead and, hit that final ending button, we have it, it's ready. And we know all the stuff we want in between. So I would say 10 issue arc, but I mean, I'd love for it to be more than that. But it translates really well to a quick read. It's fun. And it's just, it's light in the way that it's easy to read, but also has those deeper thematic elements as well.
With you saying that, and you saying it's more Saturday cartoons for adults, and you said it went to PG-13, what do you think would be, for you guys, how about this, because you're the creators, what's the youngest person you would be like, yeah, it's okay they read this?
I mean, I think any teenager could easily read the book. I think PG-13 is the rating I would give it. It's no worse than anything that's on cable television, I'm sure. So I think 13 is an easy sell. I mean, these kids are buying Grand Theft Auto. Do I sound like I'm 1,000 years old when I say that? They got the Grand Theft Autos and the skibbity toilets. So, they can, no cap, there is. And I don't know. I'm losing the whole thing. I don't know.
Look, firstly, yeah, I can't tell you how funny that is, because, as you know, we started a touch late over here in the questionnaire, because I was, picked my boy up from my mom's, and if you go check the pre-show questionnaire, you can see me wolfing some of my mom's food down, actually, funnily enough. But on the way home, the song that was requested by my boy was Skibbity Toilet. So
I'm relevant.
I don't know, dude. He's 5. I don't know if it's relevant with the current teenage crowd. I'll be real honest.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm in my 40s. I don't really seek out teenagers. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to do that.
I mean, the only conversation
like
I've had.
Stuff.
Yeah, the only conversation I had recently was the teenager. I was out at like Walgreens and I had a Spider-Man shirt on. They were like, "Sweet Spider-Man shirt." I was like, "Oh, you like comics? Check the card or check out the show," and handed him a card and walked away. Because the show I try to keep at least PG-13 friendly. We try. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't work.
If you're telling kids to watch the show, brush your teeth and do your homework. There.
And read. You know what I mean? That's important, and I think that's why I do enjoy, like, I do enjoy the fact if kids watch this show and they enjoy the interviews with the creators, and then hopefully would seek out the work, because I know the work is going to be to where it increases their intellect, and I think that's a problem. That's why I wanted to specifically know as far as the age range for your book. Sometimes there's comics and you should be a little older to read them, because some comics.
Right. It's not. When I say for adults, I don't mean like
Yeah.
we don't necessarily do adult content like that. I mean, I don't mean any shade to any books that do, like adult content as far as like, I love Vertigo comics and stuff growing up, and there's a way to do tasteful nudity, and there are great books that include adult themes of that nature. But when I say adult themes, I'm more talking about the violence and just the thematic elements. Yeah.
Okay, and when you have adult thematic elements, I think that those can be fine for a far younger audience, because either one, they're going to right over the head, because it's just something that they haven't experienced in life, so therefore they can't relate to it. Or two, it's going to be something that they can grasp and hopefully will help them throughout life, because they've read something that was based in somebody else's experiences in life that they put out in some kind of form. And I think that can be very helpful and informative, man. I think that's important, and that's why That's why really I encourage people to read, man. I mean, even just fiction, because people understand that within fiction, how much it is based in people's personal experiences. I mean, you know, sure, neither of you are dressing up as a barbarian and going around slicing up. At least I hope not. I hope. Shiro, you got a big old like battle axe back there, don't you?
I have a sword.
I got
I do.
6. What's your point? She's like, I got a sword. Like that's a big deal. Look, she had to get up.
It's not as big as Charybdis's though, so I can only slice like really tiny
I don't have
monsters.
weapons.
See, you had to get up, Shiro. All I had to do was reach.
I have a lizard.
Yeah, I'm not cluttered. Oh, you got them. You got the worst weapon, Lee. Like that thing's dangerous. It's gonna cower in a corner and because of course we got to talk about Slink a little bit.
Why?
Slink fucking derailed the entire original idea.
All right, wait. So there's a backstory behind that? Okay, I need information.
I talked a lot. You can go ahead, Shiro.
Originally, when Lee came to me about the project, literally the project, he had an idea, a basic idea for a character, no name, no look. I'm gonna put this down. Cheap ass decorative sword.
See, they're decorative. Get something functional, Shiro.
My functional sword is stored away in the closet. Bah.
In case of
It's
zombie
made out of
attack.
a moose bone. It's made to skin a moose. Anyway, when he came to me with the concept, the idea was that the comic was going to be silent and more serious. So then we started, and I started suggesting names. And like, first thing I said actually was, does she have to be white? Because I'm kind of up to the natural color about like sexy, skinny barbarians. Okay, doesn't count Charybdis as skinny, but that's because she doesn't eat enough. She's older and she doesn't eat enough. That's why she looks the way she looks. But like, it was supposed to be more serious. It was supposed to be like not barely a narrator. And then Lee started to talk about the little lizard teeth.
Wait,
that was supposed.
Did you say lizard teeth?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I heard the word teeth right. Proceed.
And he was like, yeah, but he's only going to live one episode. He's going to die like in an episode or two. We're going to swap out sidekicks and stuff like that. And then he started giving him a name. And then Slink started to talk. And now he's on the cover and he's in every episode.
Yeah. So that the original plan was to have it be more of a serialized, serious, no words book. But I just couldn't. We made Slink as a sidekick, and I said we're gonna kill him in a couple issues, so don't get attached. But then
like who got attached?
He was the first one to get fan art. Like, people weren't drawing Charybdis; they were drawing the little lizard sidekick. I was like, we can't kill him now.
They love him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can.
Yeah, when you're at that point, you start getting fan art of the. Yeah, you shouldn't kill that character unless you're planning something to either bring him back or do a backstory or like. I mean, you have to. I mean, you could say that at one point, smoke him for the dramatic. Oh, what happened? And then it's comics. Nobody has to stay dead. People can stay dead, but no one has to stay dead. So you two have that to work with. Now I'm just curious about this. Listen, why did you say teeth, Shiro? I do not understand.
Thief.
I thought you
The
said
Canadian accent
teeth.
threw you off.
Yeah, I was okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thievery runs rampant in Canada. Lots of thieves.
That's
Yeah, so the lizard thief, Slink. Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be a permanent character, but I guess he is now. I'm not mad at it. I really appreciate Shiro rolling with it, because when we first started, I said, "Don't worry, there's gonna be minimal lettering. They're not going to talk a bunch." And I think one of the big turning points was I went to kind of pitch the idea and talk to one of my local comic shop, the guy Paul that owns the place, Augusta Book Exchange. Shout out. He actually came up with a really cool story idea that's now one of our side quests. And I was just like, okay, the lizard has to stay and the lizard has to talk. So yeah, that's pretty much where Slink's origin kind of came from. He wasn't supposed to be a major character, but now I can't see the story without him.
well, and that's interesting.
Also,
though.
he's through him a lot.
Yeah, because from what you've said, I mean, it seems like he changed the entire story to a large degree just by his presence.
Yes, that is accurate.
That's intriguing, man, because I mean the premises that you initially put forth to do a comic where, as you were saying, pretty much no one speaks. That's a different task, you know? I mean, especially because then you're putting a lot of the storytelling obviously is going to go within the artist's hands. And you have to find an artist that you trust to be able to tell that story with the words that you give them, right? Which I mean, yeah, man, I don't know how she comes up with crap. She comes up sometimes when I tell Shiro what I tell her, like, hey, blah, 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 and she's like, could you slow that down? And then I slow it
Yeah.
down. And then I slow it down. And then she's like, okay. And then 5 minutes later, there's this cool graphic. And I'm like, that's awesome. And then I speed it back up.
And then you pause in the middle of the voice message,
Sometimes my
and then you
brain,
start again.
but that's because look, Shiro, you know what all the process is, right? So what do you think that changed in the process of actually doing this story then? Because like you said, it obviously made it to where there was heavy letter or a heavier amount of lettering, because you obviously have characters talking now when you hadn't planned it, and I assume it would have changed your process going into the actual writing of it. Does it not?
Oh yeah, it turned the story into from Silent Conan into fantasy Rush Hour. That's what it is now. Basically, it's like her fantasy Lethal Weapon. That's what it is.
Oh man, your first one was better. Lethal Weapon's all right, but I prefer Rush Hour.
Yeah, Rush Hour is
I mean,
fun.
I tell people it's like a buddy cop story. It really is. You can tell it in the first issue.
Buddy cop fantasy story.
Kinda, yeah.
We're original like that.
Well, and I mean, you got my brain like trying to process through if I could think of where I've ever seen, because I mean most stories that are fantasy based, it's not two people. There's a large group. You know what I mean? You don't just have two individuals. So that's intriguing. What that is such an opera. What led to this initially? Like, what led into you, Lee, to approach Shiro with the pitch as far as to where it was gonna be more silent, and you wouldn't, and if you would have made that, how different do you think the story would have been in context of what you had to tell, like the amount, and like, do you think it would have changed the amount of nostalgia that you ended up throwing into it, as well as do you think it would have gave it maybe a less of a Saturday morning cartoon vibe?
Well, I think the idea was always for it to be kind of serialized like that. But I do think maybe I could have finally proven I can tell a serious story, which we'll never know, I guess. But I knew that I wanted to work with Shiro because we were from we came up with a lot of the same stuff. Like I've got some horror hosts back here behind me. I love all of that kind of EC and Warren comics kind of stuff. And I know Shiro's got an incredibly versatile style, but what actually drew me to Shiro's artwork initially was kind of spoofs of horror stuff. I think it was an Auric cover maybe that you did that was
Oh
done
my
in
god,
kind of an EC.
I did make a horror-based Auric cover.
I think it was
based,
someone was getting their head cut off or something.
Yeah.
I think, but
yeah, not a guillotine.
I
It was based off I want to say an EC cover, Hunt of Fear. I think like it's been a long time.
But like that's where we came from originally, was like we wanted to do like a rights and Corp kind of thing, and it just, we kept that aesthetic and kind of mixed in a little bit of manga and a little bit of like you know, some other styles that we like. But I approached Shiro because honestly that's the only person I could think of that I knew that could accomplish what I was going for. And because we have like our brains are so in sync because of how much of our background stuff is the same. I mean, when we first met, we were sending each other pictures of our room going, oh yeah, well, check this out. And then Shiro would send me pictures and say, oh, check this out. And so like we were just basically swapping all of our shelf candy pictures. So I knew that it would click perfect. And it's like, you know, it's like we sharpen each other in the writing process and in the creative process. So I knew that I didn't, as soon as I started talking to Shiro about it and pitching it, this is the first collaborative, like fully collaborative book I've done. Usually I go out and will hire an artist and, you know, there's a level of collaboration, but this is our story. And from the very beginning, every idea that I shot Shiro would be like, that's great. Let me sharpen it a little. And it would get better. Every single time. Or Shiro would shoot me an idea and I go, okay, I like that. But what if we do that a little bit more? And so it's like, I haven't been able to work with someone before that really honed the story to where it is now, which is why I really feel like we've got a lightning in the bottle kind of thing. We just got to find some people to buy the bottle that's full of lightning. So, but it would have been a completely different story if Shiro just said, yeah, just the thing you want. But because Shiro started making these great suggestions, it's the thing that we want. And I think that's what makes the story even better.
You know, real quick, and again, for anyone that's checked this out, there's a link in the description, but that phrase, lightning in a bottle, you ever really given it thought, right? Right. Sure, I understand it, but like, do you really want lightning in a bottle? What are you going to do? Open it and die?
Why not? Oh, but what a way to go with a
Tell
great
your friends,
comic.
look at this lightning in this bottle. You charge your friends $5 to see it, like a comic.
I mean, that is true. If you had a lightning bolt in a bottle and were able to contain it to where it was just constantly moving around, that is very much an attraction. But in the modern age, I think I don't think that works either because, I mean, you could pull that off with lighting fairly quickly and just effects and tricks to where you could make it, I think, look probably pretty weird, pretty real without ever really actually having it. So, modern technology, I think, has ruined that concept. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what it is, and the phrase is old. So maybe that's why it doesn't work so much because, you know, yeah, 50 years ago you had lightning in a bottle. That is a show that everyone wants to see. If you have it now, I think people are going to look at you and be like, dude, are you crazy? You're going to die. Like, what is, you have a lightning bolt in bottle? Like, this is a terrible.
Clearly,
So
somebody
what
never played with a plasma ball.
What appealing thing do you want to put in the bottle? Hey, it's affordable healthcare in a bottle. Now everyone wants it. You know, it's a working economy in a bottle. Now people want it.
And this is why Lee is the writer. He's the creative one. See? You just gotta know how to hustle, baby.
Oh, I don't even know what to say to that one, Lee, because.
No lies detected.
I mean, because those are two things. Yeah, if you could put them in a bottle and hand them out to people, well, firstly, you're gonna have somebody discreetly go, and you're just gonna vanish, and you're not gonna have that bottle anymore, right? I think that would be your main problem with having those particular bottles is you're just gonna get vanished in a very, very discreet method because, you know, what are you gonna do? That's just how that is, man. I mean, it's like we've had the discussion over here as far as talking about what do you do to increase comic sales. And it was Kelly Thompson we had on, and we were having a discussion with her. And I told her, I was like, you want to know how you really increase comic book sales? She's like, yeah. I was like, you make a minimum, livable minimum wage to where it is livable. And she's like, I've had this discussion with a lot of people. No one's ever said that. And you're right. And I was like, yeah, Kelly, I know I am, and it sucks. I don't want to be right in that. That's just mainly because I wish it was a statement I didn't have to make in any capacity. But let's get off comics. Let's get off this such serious topic and get to something really like. No, I'm gonna save that for the end actually. But I might have to make a real quick edit at one point because I might have to run and get something. But we'll get to that a little bit later, right? So how did you guys two meet to where you all linked up and it did end up working to this? Like, what was the process? Like, where'd you two meet? Because correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, you're in the U.S., right?
Yes.
Where are you at?
We met. I'm in South Carolina.
Okay. And I know Shiro's up in the wilds of Canada where there's not even a comic book store for like 3,000 miles.
Okay,
Where
first of all, we
apparently
have
you need
provinces.
they can skin a moose in your closet.
Secondly, I'm rural, okay? They have comic stores in Quebec and Montreal.
So what was the process of you guys meeting to where this happened to be linked up to where it did become this creative process?
We met on this. There's a Facebook group called Connecting Comic Book Writers and Artists,
I'm
and I
in
think
that.
just through yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. It's
There
a
you
great
go.
place to meet people. You just got to make sure you vet them right, because every other person is someone trying to sell you something AI or someone who is not actually making comics that wants to do a logo for you. So, but
Yeah. Real quick
I'd
before
like
you
to buy
continue
your
this.
art
but
as an NFT.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Now I got
someone
it.
wants to give you an NFT.
Now I got to get to choose because real quick, I think it's funny because I'm in those groups, and occasionally those people will hit me up with those scams, and I'm like, man, I run a podcast that deals with creators. Are you a creator? And suddenly they're like, I've got nowhere to go with you. And don't say anything else. But then I posted some art that Chrissy had done, Chrissy Wiseman, and somebody had in the Discord for the questionnaire, somebody's like, are you going to make an NFTs? Like the day before, and then I posted it today, and literally somebody commented, "Hey, I'd love to buy these as NFTs," and I'm just like,
And then Jay told me about the post.
and then you and Andrew went in on it. But yeah, proceed. Sorry, I just had to
My
point that out
second career.
because I think it's funny. I mean, I could see those people approaching, someone that thinks they're a writer and trying to sell them pages, and I mean that's a more doable scheme. But when you're hitting up the guy that runs the podcast that's bringing on creators, that scheme no longer works, dude. I don't have any purpose for your scheme because I'm looking for product that's good so I can bring on and highlight it like I am in this particular moment. So I just the level of scheming within comics and art it's weird, man. It's weird. It's all I know how to say.
Now, I will say too, Shira and I worked on Shira worked on multiple covers for me for my flagship book, Sasone. And that's one of the ways that I knew I could definitely depend on Shiro's work and things like that. We did an Amazing Spider-Man homage cover that was hugely popular. I had to reprint that one, and then we also did a foil Akira cover that was also sold out. So I've actually had to reprint both of those because the demand was so high. So that's how I knew, especially with that the Spider-Man, because it had kind of like help me out. What is the little dots, Shira? What's the name of that style where it's like
Me personally, I call it CMYK dots because I used only 4 colors, and that's what they used to do before digital came, when they would have these plates and mixing the dots of magenta, yellow, cyan, and black. That's how they would get the color to print on the comic. And that's why when you open vintage comics, sometimes you got like the blue plate that slide way over there, and the rest of the colors are okay.
yeah, it was incredible. I got so many comments on that cover that I knew that Shiro could nail that vintage look, even down like to the aging. I actually, Shiro got up to go get a sword. I've got him right back here. Hold on.
He's gonna bring out the ultimate weapon. a book.
Shiro
Read
can get up
more.
and get a sword. I can lean back to show you these covers. So hopefully this comes across well in the podcast. So this was the Spider-Man homage.
Oh,
So
nice.
the come on Spider-Man where he's trapped underneath all the rubble and everything. So this was like the vintage look that Shiro did, and then this one, this is the reprint. I actually only have a few in my personal collection of the foil, but it's an Akira homage. So it's like Akira instead of the motorcycle, it's a taco truck. So like that's how I knew both that Shiro got my sense of humor and also could nail that vintage look. I mean, like Shiro is the ultimate style chameleon. I don't think Shiro's ever told me no. When I said, "Can we do something kind of like this?" And I just keep throwing stuff at Shiro, but I've never been shot down. Like on this one, I said, "Hey, can we do a Fright Night cover?" And Shiro goes, "Okay, let me see what I can do." And it looks like Fright Night. Or on the first issue, I said, "Hey, can we do one that looks like a VHS?" And it looks like a VHS. Like, I mean, it's incredible.
I put fake stickers on it and everything.
Yes, and everything.
My favorite part is the rental address sticker, because like I put on it like video rentals, tanning booth, carcass cleaning, and that's 3 real things I've seen on a shop on my way to the closest A&W in another town. Literally, it was a convenience store, but on the sign it said video rental, despite videos not existing anymore by now. Tanning booth, carcass cleaning. That's all. That was all real. I wish I would have had the time to take a photo. We were driving, so I put that on the sticker and I put that on the book. Okay, Jay, you're confused. We're rural. The carcass cleaning is for
No, that's
moose.
fine. Look, I'm from a small rural town, but I do not expect video rentals, suntan
Tanning
booths,
booth
and carcass cleaning. Like that's
people would be reading the cover and saying, "Oh, that's really funny," but it's real. That part's real.
I'm sorry if I seen that sign somewhere, I would have to stop.
See, marketing.
Yeah, I would, because
now you gotta check out the book.
I'd feel like, what? Like, and so they say carcass cleaning. What's like, what kind of, are you just any carcass? Like, what's the limit here? What are we talking? Like.
As far as I know, it's moose because we are a society of hunters. My front door neighbor brought back 3 this morning. Legally, people, we all have licenses.
I mean, yeah, but like, 3. What are you doing with 3 moose? That's a lot.
Knock the Mountie off them first.
Well, there were 3 hunters, so it's 1 moose each. That's the legal limit.
Okay.
And then we eat them.
Okay,
actually,
that's
we're
fun.
gonna get some meat later. That's gonna be good.
I thought you meant one individual came back with 3 moose, and I was just like, that.
No, he had a team.
Yeah.
You don't hunt moose alone. No. And that's why Karybdis is always with Slink. She knows better than to travel alone.
Why do you not?
See, that's my Canadian influence right there.
It's full of moose.
But why don't you hunt moose alone?
Have you seen a moose?
I mean, I know how big a moose
they're as
is.
big as a cow. They are not.
No. A moose is like a good 4 or 5, maybe 6 foot taller than a cow. I'm not counting its antlers. If we're counting its antlers, it's 10 to 12. Like I'm aware.
They have an attitude.
Yeah, it just like.
Oh yeah, that goes on for the fauna and the flora too. We're like Australia light. Diet Australia. Less poison, more anger.
All right. I wouldn't think you'd need a team to hunt them. And I guess it's because I live in the U.S. and go out and hunt deer. You can hunt a deer alone.
We mean deer.
Like, but why couldn't you?
Tiny.
Okay, but why couldn't you get up in a tree with a gun and sit there and wait for the moose, and then you shoot the moose, and then what's the problem? The moose can't climb,
Dragging the moose back to the truck,
Moose
you
nest in trees,
genius.
right?
huh? I mean,
Don't the moose nest in trees, Shiro? Am I getting that mixed up?
Well, yeah, you got to shake him a little bit, and then you get the babies first because they don't have that grip
Moose
yet.
eggs. Moose eggs fall down.
You shake a little bit, then you hear.
how to
Oh
get
man, we got to put that in the next issue.
someone shaking a tree and a baby moose falls out, and then you guys have the whatever you would call that. I mean, it's
At lunch.
what?
Karybdis, I'm hungry. All right, we'll get us something to eat. Shika, shika, shik.
I'm
thinking. I like that.
It's just
I'm really glad I already ate, in all honesty, more than anything, because if I hadn't ate before we started this, y'all would have been sitting here talking about, like, cooking up some moose. And part of my brain's like, I ain't never had moose. I wonder how that tastes.
Oh, it's like beef, but you want to season it a little bit more. It's a little milder.
Have you had moose, Lee?
I've never had moose. No, I haven't. There's not a lot of moose that I know of in South Carolina. So yeah, I mean, I've had like venison, obviously. Everyone,
Yeah.
a lot of people on here, hunt deer and stuff, but I've never had moose.
Well,
That's what.
Not a whole moose. We
Yeah,
don't have
and I
enough
guess
table
that's-
room for that.
Yeah, I'm with you, Lee. Like I said, I'm in Indiana. There's plenty of people that hunt deer. You know what I mean? So that's the process I think of when I think of hunting. And I mean, sometimes you go out in a group to hunt deer, but you can totally go out and do that alone. But sure, you make a valid point. Yeah, I would. Like, you need a forklift to dealing with the loading of it if you were by yourself. I would think either that or your Andre the Giant, may he rest in peace. I mean, I think he could probably grab it up, but short of that, yeah. All right. How we got into moose hunting, I still don't know, man. So Lee, what got you into comics initially, man? What created your love? What was that moment, when you was little?
Do you mean like making comics or reading comics?
I mean reading them. We'll get into the other part.
Okay.
Don't jump ahead of the quest, man. What are you doing? Roll for initiative.
Sorry.
There is a process.
Okay,
No, it's not.
I would say, as a kid, the earliest comics I can remember reading, I know I'm going to get the issue wrong, but there's an Amazing Spider-Man that had like the New Warriors on the cover. I want to say there's a 3 and there's a 5 in it. I forget it. It came out in the 90s. It's one of my kind of ones I'm trying to hunt down from my old collection when I was a kid, because I sold them all off a while ago to make comics. And anyway, it was like that one really appealed to me because I always thought Spider-Man was awesome. But with that particular issue, it opened up the door for me for heroes outside, because the New Warriors were like, you had like Night Thrasher and Speedball and all these, and Nova and all these characters that weren't like mainstream, big two kind of put them on an action figure kind of characters. So that book in particular is one that really kind of opened me up to a wider brand of comics. I mean, I've always read comics as a kid. I read a lot of Spider-Man as a kid. I always like the side characters too, like people you'd have like Prowler and Sleepwalker and characters that were kind of a little different that you would see like guest star and things like that in books. Got heavy into Vertigo, probably, I'm sure a lot of 90s kids did, all that kind of a little bit darker kind of stuff. Worked in a comic shop in the early 2000s, so I was reading all the backlogs, and I used to always love to go and get the dollar bin stuff, like the defunct companies that or some that have come back, like stuff like Valiant and things like that, companies that in the before the crash, there were so many cool, like, unique books that you wouldn't necessarily see in big two stuff now. So I used to love and go read that kind of stuff. That comic shop is where I got my love for DC, because I was always a Marvel kid until I started reading like Mark Waid Justice League, and that just like sucked me right in, because that was just fantastic. Tower of Babel, I think, was my first Justice League story that I just cover to cover read the whole trade in like one setting. But as far as reading comics, that was it. And it just, Wizard magazine, all that kind of stuff. Growing up as a kid, it was such a great time to be into comics in the 90s. Not that it's not a great time now, because we're kind of getting a resurgence as far as independent books go. And then making books, I think I had kind of like a turning point where I went to a C2E2 in Chicago, an incredible comic show. And I met Dirk Manning, Victor Dandridge, and Justin Peterson. And I was like, man, I sure would love to do what you guys do. And they gave me a really simple answer. Do it. And so I got together with some people and I did. Started making comics, started kind of feeling it out. We had no idea what we were doing. We didn't know anything about the printing or anything like that. The comics were what they were. They were, good enough for beginners, but we definitely kind of honed stuff, and I learned a lot just from the comic community is so great because people share information. Everyone wants to educate everyone. Everyone wants to kind of help everyone out. So either things I learned myself or things that other people kind of mentored and taught me as far as writing and producing comics. That's kind of what got me making comics now.
And I think that's, I like to see that. And it's funny because, with everybody we've had on the show at this point, and we've had people from, they were established and they're pretty much like, they're just kind of at the tail end of their career writing whatever they want. People that are just starting out. And one thing that I've heard, I couldn't tell you guys how many times, is the simple piece of advice of, like, given to people who want to make comics. Well, what's the best thing to do if you want to make a comic? Go make a short comic. Go make like a 3 or 4 page comic and do it. And I think it's funny, and there are so many people that are just like, I've never found a discouraging side of that. There's always people are like, no, you just got to do it, And I think it's a lot of the times. I think if anybody takes that statement discouragingly, it's because they have to understand to do anything creatively like this. There has to be a different drive, a different gear, where it is in part just, I have to get this out there, right? What do you think ingrained that in you, Lee? What do you think makes it to where when you look at this, you're like, I gots to do it. I gots to do it. To where you did it, man. You literally, like, look, you pulled the Kevin Smith and got rid of your comics to make a comic,
Well, I think I've always kind of been a storyteller. I always just as a kid, I would write stuff and I would draw stuff, even though I'm not a great artist, but I would try then, and get in trouble in school for that kind of stuff. But I always wanted to tell stories, and I wasn't really sure how until people that were, I guess, let me back up a little bit. When I was a kid, like, comic book professionals always felt like up here. And one of the great things about one of the shows like C2E2 is you realize we're all in here. We're all just people. So I kind of made connections and friends and networking folks, especially those 3 gentlemen that I mentioned, that were just like, it's not as difficult as you think it is. Write a story, find some people, make some books, do something short. That's one of Dirk Manning's big things that he always says is start with like an 8-page comic or something short. And I think that's excellent advice, because if you can't hold someone for 4 to 8 pages, you're not going to hold somebody for a 20-issue series. You got to be able to keep their attention. So that really stuck with me. But if I had to kind of nail down writers that were kind of influential, I think definitely Tim Seeley's one. That when I was reading Hack Slash, I was like, I want to make comics like that. Because it was like, it's funny, it's got like horror elements, it's got gore. Incredible book. Tim's super awesome. He's got a great book now called Local Man. It's one of my big ones on my full list.
Oh yeah, first, because him and Tony, yeah. I just got to say, you guys can go check out. They've both been in season 2 as well as Tony's in season 1, man. And great creators. They're both putting out a huge chunk of stuff. And Local Man, the only thing
Valley?
Well, I don't know if you know this, Lee, but I found out last time I was up at Mage's is they're doing a little hiatus on Local Man.
Ah, bummer.
Yeah, it's 20. Their issue 25 dropped, and I hear they're going to do a little hiatus, and I hear that's because Tony said he needs to like be able to deal with some of the other stuff that he's got on his plate because he's just got so much there that they can't because Tim and Tony aren't doing that comic in their entirety. You know, one writes a story and the other draws it, and vice versa. So that's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
So in that, man, I think it's incredible. They have done something like I love that book, and I don't mean to get you the disappointing news that it's going on hiatus.
Oh, no. Yeah, just that's fine. Go back and read them again, man. But they're both such great creators in their own right. Like Farrell's and like I said, Uncanny Valley is super good. And like I know they've got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I know Tim's book Revival, I think I just got picked up for a series, and I think the woman that played Winona Earp is going to be the lead in it, so that's pretty wild. But like they're definitely Tim was a very influential writer as far as my writing, and also Jim Zub was another one that there's a lot of his book Skull Kickers. There's a lot of that in Charybdis because it's like just fun fantasy stuff. If you've never read Skull Kickers, highly recommend it. Rat Queens is another one that I would say we kind of draw from as well. It's just like fun fantasy that's got some modern elements to it. I know it's kind of a roundabout way to answer your question, but those are definitely some writers in addition to the three guys that kind of pushed me to get started that I felt like I really influenced me.
Firstly, Lee, roundabout's kind of what we do over here, right? But let's roundabout to the questionnaire, man. Like, and for everybody out there, man, go over to the Patreon. All you got to do is be a member. You can check out everyone's pre-show questionnaires that's been on the show. And we just made it to where starting now, I've got 3 variations of the questionnaire. So guests are getting different. I mean, there's certain questions that I do keep on each one of them because I think it's pertinent to the career and just information, and hopefully gives you a little bit of information about that creator. But there's one which is what comic world would you like to live in? And Lee?
Yes?
Did
you not like my answer? Or did you like my answer?
I've never had anyone answer what I would consider some of the worst answers as far as if you wanted to pick something out of the big two, like send me to Hell's Kitchen, put me in Gotham. Like those, that is just bad, right? But I have had someone answer New York City and Marvel, and what is wrong with both of you, right? Like, seriously, man. I mean, sure, like you say, it'd be cool. You might get to see Spider-Man swing by before, a giant brick falls on your head, or you get pumpkin bombed, or like gored by the Rhino, or vaporized by Ultron. None of these, like, ooh, look, Cap shield, pff, there's your head, gone by the guy that it was going after. Like, no, dude, why? Why would you? I don't understand. Like, it's like, let me go to the place that has like some of the lowest probability of me actually surviving.
I don't know. I just I guess I didn't feel like my car and property insurance were high enough, so I wanted to live in Marvel, New York City.
Yeah, I can only imagine the insurance rate. Like, I wonder if there is a thing, because I don't know if they've ever covered that in Marvel, where it's like,
the Avengers indemnity clause on the insurance.
Yeah, your Avengers. It's your Avengers indemnity clause. I mean, you would need something like that. Yeah, I just. Oh my God, Lee, that's a terrifying answer. And how have you never broken a bone? How old are you?
42, maybe. I don't know. Math is hard.
And you live in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And you've never, and you're what do you just write all day? How did you make it to 42 and never break anything?
You see how pale I am? I did say I've never broken one of my bones, but
see? Twinsies.
All right. Well, before we incriminate Lee, all right, she's a freaking Pete, man. Somebody,
Like, I've broken bones, but I'm perfectly fine. And one of them was very brittle to start with, but it was not on my face, so I don't care.
oh, when someone answers a question like that, though, Lee, the way you answered that question, which is a new question on the questionnaire, I want to point out. I think you're the first person to ever get it. I have to demand answers on the show. Why do you not feel comfortable?
Bone either.
Why do you not feel comfortable?
Different question. Thank goodness.
Huh?
Oh, I thought we were going to keep going on me breaking both other people's bones potentially being broken by me.
Oh, well, whatever.
Move on.
Look, dude, whatever. It happens, okay? Sometimes, like you said, if you're gonna, don't be, but if you have to, go for broke. Hey, I get why you said that now, Lee. That took on a whole deeper meaning, right? So, but no, what I'm referring to is the fact of, like, the honest commissions you've seen or had requested.
Oh, I mean, I go to a lot of comic shows, or at least, pre-pandemic, I went to a lot of comic shows, and people ask for weird stuff, and sometimes you walk by and you see odd commissions of weird things. Like, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum here, and people, if they're paying for it, whatever, and if someone wants to draw it, whatever, if you're some guy that wants a picture of Jubilee in the shower for some reason, then that's fine. I'm sure that's appealing for
borderline
folks.
illegal, but
Okay, wait, that's not okay. That's whatever, but that's not real bad, dude. I've heard way worse. Are you telling me that's the worst you've seen?
Not the worst thing I've ever seen. That was the most sanitized thing I could think of.
Okay, well, come on, give me the worst. I ask for the worst.
Well, like you see stuff with tentacles and weird stuff. I don't know, man. I don't want to really get into it. You look in the back room of your local comic book shop or something. You'll see the kind of stuff people buy. I used to work at one. The behind the counter stuff.
Jay's still thinking about when he asked me about the weirdest thing I ever drew, and I sent it to him, and he's like, "Lee, you have to come up with better."
You know what? The stuff Shiro will just draw and send me is some of the weirdest unpaid commissions I've ever seen.
I know.
He'll just make a joke. Shiro will disappear and then come back with something, and I'll be like, "Well, I gotta delete that message."
He shows his wife first, they have a good laugh, and then he deletes the message.
For anybody that wants to see a slight example of a piece like that from Shiro, you do have to go to the Patreon. You do have to be a member for this because
you do have to be way older than PG-13.
Yeah. That's why you have to pay, because that way I know there's an adult involved somewhere in this process, or you stole your parents' credit card, and if that's the case, that's between you and your parent, and they didn't guard their information well.
QUESTionnaire does not condone stealing your parents' credit cards.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying steal, but I'm just saying I feel like in that there has to be some kind of adult, you know what I'm saying? Because over on the pre-shows, it can get a little bit edgier, and it definitely did with Shiro with that.
You see, Jay, I didn't realize when I was answering those questions that the answer to that question was right in front of me. I was drawing on all my experience from all the comic shows I've been to, and I didn't even think that really the craziest, most disturbing commissions I've ever seen, I didn't even have to pay for. They were forced upon me by Shiro.
I'm chaos.
Hey
Lee, look what I can do. Ah!
That really, like, I'm curious in all honesty from seeing the picture that I'm referring to. But like I said, you guys can go check out. It's on the before and after the quest on Shiro's on the Patreon, which you probably have to scroll back a little bit because there's a lot there, but it's there. It makes me curious as to what you've seen, and has he seen that picture, Shiro?
I'm sure that he will now.
So you haven't shown.
Yeah, I don't know if I sent it to Lee yet.
Okay.
I mean, we're still working together, so probably not.
Jay, I'm a gentle soul, and sometimes I feel like Shiro will send me things just to see what my reaction will be, and that's fine. And it's usually a surprise.
Well,
look, it was just scientific curiosity.
Here, Lee. Kitty.
Oh, look, a timeline cleanse.
She's a freaking pea. Yeah, that's I just I don't. Sorry, you got my imagination running a little wild because, like I said, I know Shiro is an artist. I've seen a great deal of your work, and I've seen that one particular piece that I'm referring to, so I know where your brain can go. And Lee seems horrified by some of the things that you have sent him. So,
Thank you.
That would be my response if somebody was like, dude, that was scary as crap. I'd be like, thanks, bro.
Well, I mean, it's a badge of honor to me because people are used to seeing me like draw like the cutest shit. Because my webcomic bootleg cookie, I draw in chibi style because it's faster. And then there's a Mario fan comic that I draw that is also super cute. But I'm like, somebody hire me to do horror. I can do horror. I can do some really questionable stuff.
Yeah. So with this, with the Barbarian Queen being more of a PG-13, do you have any intents of throwing horror elements into it to where Shiro gets to play?
That is an excellent segue, Jay. Yes, indeed, we do. That was one of the deciding factors and major pillars of Charybdis was that Shiro gets to run wild on creatures, body horror. Like our main villain is called the Necromage, and the whole idea is that he infects living things and makes them all disgusting and gross.
Wait,
so
yes.
completely allowed to go nuts on that kind of stuff.
Okay, firstly, if you let her off unfettered, it's no longer PG-13, Lee. I want to point that out.
Okay.
Everybody keeps their clothes on.
Oh, so
yeah, there's not like nudie stuff. Although again, I'm not trying to dismiss anyone's work or anything, but it's more like The Thing, like John Carpenter's The Thing, like complete body horror, like gore and just sinew and all kind of decay and grossness. Like, and as far as monsters too, like our world really is like a toy box. It really is a fantasy world of anything can happen because it's ours. So why not? So I mean that's one of the reasons why Conan was created, was because I think Robert E. Howard wanted to do an era that was everything he wanted. If there were ghosts, if you want a ghost, there's ghosts. If you want lizard people, there's lizard people. You can put whatever you want because he created that whole kind of mythos. And so that's kind of what we did with the intent of letting us both be able to put whatever we want to put in it because it's ours. And one thing we both wanted to put in it was some of that, tying it back to that EC and Warren black and white, Corbin Wrights of it all. That's what we wanted. We wanted a book that like reached back into those masters of black and white horror. And there's going to be that in our book. Like as things really start ramping up, and we really start seeing the Necromage kind of coming into the world and his effects on everything around Charybdis and Slink and the other characters. You're going to see just how far that decay and that mutation and that just gross, disgusting, 80s, 90s gross out again, going back to like all the stuff we grew up with, the mad scientist, the mad balls, the My Pet Monster, not that My Pet Monster's gross out, but like that 80 gross out toys were so big in that era that we're channeling that into the book. That's there. Like that's what we want to bring to the table.
Well, I mean, I was gonna ask, has there been a time that either of you have, but let me reformulate that. So, Lee, has there been a time where Shiro has presented an idea to you and you've been like, that's a bit much? Because I feel like it didn't go the other way.
I don't think so. I'm pretty on board for anything. We're pretty much I think the closest thing we came to having any kind of a disagreement was the title for this new story, and then we just decided to Rocky and Bullwinkle it and give it 2 titles. So I mean, but as far as content, no, there's not really anything. I think we both know what the theme is.
Yeah, because like Lee's putting it like really nicely, because I maybe kind of sort of bullied him in writing me a Halloween story. Like text-based there, but I pretty much just grabbed him text-based, like going, look, I need to draw a story with this specific scene in it, like yesterday. And he was
wait.
like,
So
okay.
you did to Lee what you did to me, as far as like just shoving this in the middle of when I was already booked up to all hell. Like, you know, I've got this book
that's what I
coming out. I wonder if there are any podcasts I could go on to promote it. And she's sending this into the questionnaire chat that's like, you know, a bunch of people that have been on the show, co-hosts, this, that, everybody that's in the game and all this. And I'm just like, oh, so she put it in here. So I can either be like, yeah, you know, come on the show, or I can just look like an a-hole.
Marketing.
No. That's what you call blackmail.
Tomato.
Have you been blackmailed?
Now I got a Halloween book, and now we got a podcast episode.
Lee,
I don't know what to complain
did
about.
Shiro blackmail you to do all of this just so she could draw whatever she wanted? What does Shiro have on you, Lee? I need to know. What's she hold over you?
Blink twice?
Am
I supposed to blink twice if I'm in trouble?
I mean, yes.
So,
if you need help, man, just
Shiro didn't have to twist my arm very hard at all for this, because, like I said, from the start, I wanted Shiro to be able to draw whatever they wanted. And I love horror comics. And we didn't have a good, like, obviously we had all of that stuff planned. I've given you the whole pitch of, you know, our bad guy and his whole, you know, MO and everything, but it leads you down the line. So Shiro's like, hey, stuff, Halloween thing. And why would I say no? Why would I say no to that? I made a couple requests as far as like content wise, and wrote a very thin script. I think I have 2 pages in the front, and like a page of dialogue in the front and a page of dialogue in the back. In the middle of the script literally says, and I did this with Karybdis as well. It's like, have fun. That's literally what it says in the middle. Have fun.
Yeah, there's a bit of story at the beginning, bit of story at the end, and like in the middle is like 3 pages, battle scene. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really give a lot of direction, because I want Shiro to have fun, and in these scenes, that's what it's about. And in our there's a lizard man fight snake man fight, because there's a difference. There's a snake people fight in our first issue, and it literally says like the opening, and then there's 3 pages. It just says snake battle, have fun, and then there's the closing of the issue, and that's it. So I find that Shiro works best when I just let them do whatever they want. Just go crazy, draw the fun stuff. And some incredible pages came out of that. Like just like a splash page that's got panels in the back that I was just like, that's got to be a t-shirt. Just page after page of awesome stuff. You know, I think what makes this comic work is just how much I know I can trust Shiro to visually tell the story in a way that I'm going to be like, no notes, you know. And it's hard to find people to work with that like you just don't feel like you have to give a lot of direction. And I don't, you know. It's pretty much perfect every time I see it. Like I don't think I've ever been like, let's change a major aspect of this page. And I think that shows a good book, you know, and it's a good collaborative book because everyone feels a level of ownership. You know, I didn't say draw this way. You know, it's everything I write. I script in like suggestion. I kind of have an idea of how I want the beats to go, but I'm always open to interpretation with anyone that I work with, because if the artist isn't having fun, then why would they give you their best? So I always try and write from a place that's malleable, I guess you'd say.
It's funny that you say that, because I mean, like I said, we've had in numerous discussions over scripting and how it's done between artists and writers. I think one of the most interesting ones was with Fabian when Eric was co-hosting, because obviously he does quite a bit of work for Marvel. And with Marvel, they have a strict policy now, which is a full script, which is funny because people refer, when you say write the Marvel way, that's writing more as you just described. You know what I mean? Without a full script.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what's considered the Marvel way within the comic book community. And it's totally not used by Marvel now. I want to point out for everybody out there, right? It ain't the Marvel way. Like if you're, dude, Lee, if you got to write a Marvel book and you turn in a script like that, I'm pretty sure they'll fire you.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm ever going to be writing a Marvel book, so luckily I'll be down here in the indie trenches, and I'm happy to be there.
I just think it's funny, though, because I wonder if that's something that is becoming a lost art more in the mainstream, because they're making it to where they are requiring these writers to write full scripts, and based on that, it's making it to where it doesn't give the artist that leeway to be the storyteller that an artist can be, because they are given such specifics. Do you think, like, what do you think about that as far as the effects on the industry, and how certain comics, to a certain degree anyways, have become very corporate in the way they're controlled as far as within that? You have to have a full script. It has to be presented to the artist like this. In some cases, people aren't even talking to the artist that's drawing their book. You know what I mean? And then you have cases like this with you and Shiro, where you're clearly in communication and you're giving the artist a lot of leeway to where they can play in the sandbox.
Mm-hmm. I love the way you put that. I think, the big two and some of the other indie, like higher tier indie, they're corporations, they're businesses. They have a formula, and that's their formula now. I think that you do see a lot more kind of Marvel method evolve, because it's not quite like, when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby would just be like, okay, do this, and I'll put the words in later. Because it's a much more collaborative form, if you want to call it like the Marvel method. It's kind of me saying, okay, here's the part I really want, and here's the part you really want. And for the part you really want, you've got 3 pages to do it in, and then we'll work on the other, the stuff that I want in there together. So it's not like exact Marvel method kind of stuff, but I do think that books where everyone's kind of working together, I would say, I feel like indie comics is really where it's at right now. Not that I don't love, the titles I grew up with and stuff like that, but I think that like kind of like Image and kind of down the line under that, where there's still a level of more of a level of creativity. I feel like that's where some of the best books are right now. But I understand, those big two have their legacy characters. They want them in a certain box, and a lot of times when you go outside that box, people get real upset about pretend characters. So I understand why they try and protect images that way. But I think that everyone having fun on a book can only benefit it. And you got to think too, there's a lot of people who have their hands in those big corporate books. Well, Shiro and I are all those people. We're all the people. We're the editor. We're the we're the production designer. We're the the fundraiser. We're everything. So when everyone is just 2 people, there's a lot more flexibility. There's less accountability to shareholders and people up.
I was thinking about that.
Upstairs. Yeah.
Because first and foremost, we're trying to please ourselves with the project, the story, not shareholders, not investors, not corporate.
Look,
however, if there are shareholders and investors and corporate people, we'll completely change No, we would never do that.
Lee said, I am ready to sell out. Give me my motherfucking movie check.
So anyway, here's Karybdis issue 1, and she's a tall blonde woman in a chain bikini.
Look, man, you got my cat's interest. He jumped up here like, "Ooh yeah, chain bikini? What's up?" Maybe that's the way you should go, man. He ran right up here like, Talk about Shane Continue again. Jeez, oh Pete, man. Uh,
Chain Keenies test really well with cats. Cats love chain Keenies. I don't know what the connection is.
Well, now I gotta draw Slink and a Chain Keeney now.
How has that not happened already, to be honest?
Yeah. Why didn't I not think of that before?
That'll be the next picture.
Traditionally, I got the best glitter.
You're gonna draw a lizard in a chain bikini.
I've drawn Slink as like the babe of the comic every time. Like on the cover, on the VHS cover, there's Slink on the ground where the babe usually is, and he's posing seductively. He's got a finger in his mouth and everything. Slink is the eye candy. Karybdis is the hero.
Slink does take that role in the Lost Boys poster too. I think he's the girl with the head on the shoulder.
And he's looking up at Karybdis, and Karybdis just got that far away look like, he's touching me again. He's gonna get scales all over my armor.
I just like I don't think I've ever heard of a lizard being turned into the eye candy that I can think of. I'm sure it's happened in some span of entertainment at some point. I'd be amazed if not. I mean, Lord knows, like I said,
lizard ladies, sexy lizard ladies, 100%. I'm not gonna Google it, but I believe it. Well, 34 is it 34? Whatever rule it is.
We are equal opportunity creators. Slink is the eye candy. Period.
All right then. All right. So I'm curious, within this, what you said you've got a fantasy element. Are there any other elements besides horror and fantasy that you intend to introduce in this story? Because you said you're given a very much 80s cartoon feel, you know, and I mean 80s cartoons were way more than just fantasy and horror. They covered everything. You brought in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, like, is there any more like sci-fi type elements or cyberpunk you intend to throw into this story to give it a twist at any point? Is there any plan for that? Because with everything you've said, part of my brain's like, just how much are you trying to mesh up into this? Because the more you mesh, it can be made very interesting, but at the same time, it can become to where it's like, dude, that was one thing too many to try and mesh into. So in that, how do you balance that as well, if that is your plan?
Okay, so without spoilers, the story becomes much more complicated than just a fantasy story. And from the first issue, I don't want to spoil the end of the first issue. You'll have to go buy it or read it or, you know, get it off of Pirate Bay or wherever. I don't care. You're gonna have to read the. Is that even a thing anymore? I don't. You're gonna have to You have to download it from Napster. And
hey, look. Firstly, Lee, Napster still exists. You can actually go get my music on there legally now, which is real. Yeah. When I found out my music was on Napster like that, my brain kind of like went, what? So yeah, but that's not, it's not a legal
page on MySpace.
It's weird. But yeah, continue.
But without spoiling anything,
no,
we gently begin introducing elements in the first issue that are more than just for fun. I'll say that. You'll read the first issue and you get to the end and be like, oh, that was kind of cute that they did the thing they did. That's like the tip of the iceberg. And every issue, we're going to go further and further down that iceberg until by probably issue 4 or 5, people are going to stop in the middle of a book and go, what is happening? We're going to get emails. I'm going to get IMs. People are going to say, I just need you to explain to me what's going on. Because the story from the beginning, we kind of evolved it way past that simple silent barbarian. So when we knew we were adding new stuff, we came up with a lot more to the story as far as the other elements go. So it's much more than a simple fantasy story, and we tease it. And I'm really excited for issue 2 because that particular tease is going to be super great. It's going to be a real good throwback to anyone who's a Masters of the Universe fan. That's all I'll say. So yeah, I definitely recommend people get on for the long haul and help us make this book, because the further we get in, the more crazy the stuff gets, and the more we built it for fan theories. I'll say that we built this story for people to say, well, I think this means this, and I think this is happening, and I think maybe that's what's going on here, and it's constructed in such a way that the big reveals start getting pulled back and the big things start happening. Be able to go back to issue 1, just like it with any good kind of plot twist kind of movie, or any good kind of movie that has an aha moment later on, and you'll be able to go back and go, oh, there's that. Oh, okay, that's that there. I can tell that those things happen. So we're putting little crumbs, and then we serve kind of like a larger crumb at the end, or something like that. And those kind of bendy segues are going to be in different places through different issues. So that's all I can really say without giving away too much. But you're in for a pretty fun ride. We've got it all planned out. We know exactly how the wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff kind of fits in there, and it's not made to. It doesn't detract from the fantasy elements or the fantasy stuff. It just makes it more interesting and more complicated in a way that benefits the story, not in a we're trying to jam as many different influences as we can. Like you were saying, like we're not trying to just jam every single thing into the story. It really is like collaborative storytelling, including elements that we like in a way that feels natural and feels cohesive and doesn't derail the storytelling.
Okay, now that he answered that, all trying to get it to where he didn't say anything about the timely wobbly. You did just kind of tell me there's a bit of time travel in that, though. So Shiro, spoil it for us. Give more detail. You're no fun.
No, you pretty much said
I'll give. Okay,
everything
this is
that I could contribute to.
The most spoiler-free thing I can say is you'll read the whole book and you'll go, wait, did this happen or did that happen? And the answer is yes. That's the best I can do. Read the first issue and you'll know exactly what I mean. Did this happen or did that happen? Yes.
All right. Real quick cut. All right.
So
wait. What are we talking about? We're getting into some stuff.
Not talking about any of the stuff that we said we weren't going to spoil. That's for sure. Don't go back and watch any of that video.
Man, I'm gonna just like edit you saying things that you didn't say into this quest at some point. And then people are gonna be like, was that or was that that or was that? And, I'm gonna look, man. Don't make me start using AI on this show to make it look like people are. Firstly, I shouldn't even say that. Oh my God, I'd probably have like a storm of artists show up and kill me. You using AI on the questionnaire? Firstly, no, never. Just so it's out there, because I'm adamantly against it. I think it's terrible for a number of reasons, from it being theft to literally the fact that
you're gonna do it manually, and Lee's gonna look like Max Headroom. I like to goats.
I already got Scott trying to get me to make him look like a freaking Canadian in South Park. I don't have time to edit like that, Shiro. Come on, are you serious? Like, no, I don't know though. Doing the Max Headroom honestly probably wouldn't be as difficult because it's just overlaying something on your face that would emulate it. Doing the South Park thing is a whole nother level of headache I don't even want to get into. Oh my God. Right? So let's see. See? I didn't see, normally I have a co-host. I think it's funny, man, your favorite film, the fact that you said Ghostbusters and Jurassic Park, quest we had. The quest before yours, somebody said Ghostbusters and Aliens. And I was like, or Alien. And I was like, I just think it's funny that coincided to where the same thing was answered so quickly. It shows that Ghostbusters is a great film. Kat, you are creeping like a mofo.
Oh, you still thinking about the Chain Keeney?
Shiro, I don't want to dominate the conversation here. I want to make sure that I'll talk all day if Jay will let me. So I want to make sure you're getting in here too.
I'm not sure if Jay wants me to talk more.
I'm just saying it's our interview. It's not just my interview. I have a bad habit of just talking and talking and talking. So I want to make sure,
And there's a
I'm over
giggling
here talking
fool
about how
over here.
collaborative we are, and then I won't let you speak.
Well, Lee, in all fairness, though, this is your first time on the questionnaire. This is Shiro's.
I lost count.
Exactly. And I don't know, and I ain't counting. That's what's up, right? I mean, we've got like 8 different co-hosts on here. If you expect at any point for me to be able to tell you who's been on how many times, she's no, I'm not doing it, right? But I will say it's times like this where I don't have a co-host where I'm like, man, really needed one, because I swear when I've been looking over at this screen, I am totally listening to everything you're saying. And do not do what Steve said, which Dr. Steve Lee said, everybody should start playing a drinking game. And every time I look over at the screen, you should take a drink. Please, no one do that with the questionnaire. What is the fluffy thing? What are you holding?
Well, Lee wanted me to talk more, so I'm trying to distract you, and it's working very well. This is Victor. He's the mascot to the Juste pour Rire festival. And he's part of his own comic drama little story, because we had a little problem with the festival a couple of years ago.
You get a cease and desist, did you?
Oh no, I had nothing to do with it. When I say we, I mean the province. Because the creator and owner of the festival did some really bad things with some female employees, and at the same time, a comic book based on Victor was out. And because of that scandal, the bookstores that had the book sent it all back to the printer, and the printer was stuck with all those books, and they had to sign for bankruptcy. And all I have for it is this little plush version of Victor. Because you can't have anything without a little comic book drama. He's in jail now, so it's better.
Victor or the plush is, or
No. Victor's free. Victor didn't do anything. It's the owner of the festival.
Victor?
The real person is in jail. Victor's fine.
You had to get that
Justice is
serious,
served. Victor is
Shiro?
free.
Jesus. Like, it's. I said kid friendly, and then you're talking in like, I'm not trying to be some 24-hour news network over here covering the horrors of things. Like, come on, y'all want that?
I use kid friendly words.
Fair enough. Hannibal about gotten into me on that for the last D&D session, remember? Because I was like, he asked what, makes you the happiest. And I was like, dude, we're trying to keep it PG. And he was like, well, keep it PG, dude. Come on. And I was like, fine. I had to PG it up. That'll be coming. No, that was the 3rd session, right? Or was that the 2nd session? I don't know. I edited that 2nd session so many times. I think part of it's wedged into my head. Shira, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I really don't. Right? It's
PTSD.
I never thought I'd get PTSD from editing anything for this, because it's all gone very smoothly. But like you said, I paid for that with college interest, man. Have you ever gotten yourself into a situation with the book as that, where you're like, oh, okay, we got it, and it's good, and then you realize you didn't, and then you think you did, and then you realize you didn't, and you think you did, and it becomes a process where, like, you almost are just done with it before you finally get it right? And if you have, what was that moment?
I feel like the only thing that really kind of makes me feel that way about comics is the number crunching and like the production side. Like I've never been in a situation on the fun writing art side where I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. But when I'm sitting there looking at a spreadsheet, trying to figure out how much we need for Kickstarters and running numbers for like hours and checking different quotes and shipping rates and things like that, the unfun part does make me go, I really don't want to do comics anymore. But, you know, then you make the comic, then you hold the comic, then you're like, oh, this is why I did all those things. So it's the give me money part and the figure out how much money you need to give me part that I don't like. But as far as the creative part, I love every aspect of it. I definitely don't think I've ever wanted to quit on the creative end. I mean, there's definitely story elements that maybe that we've had to kind of, in this book and in other stuff I've written, it's been a little frustrating to figure out like where, you know, how to put a bow on it, but never to the point where I wanted to just be like, okay, throw this whole thing in the trash. So I guess I'm just lucky on that one. I'm sure people have had those kind of growing pains where like, whatever, this sucks, I'm just not going to do it. But as far as a creative side, no, I don't think I've been in that situation. Shiro, what about you? Have you wanted to throw a comic in the trash?
Eh? Oh God, I got a feeling the answer is yes.
Don't say Charybdis.
No, I am having a blast with Karybdis. I'm trying to think.
I can think of a stack of cards you probably wanted to throw in the trash.
Oh, Lord Almighty. Oh, you want to talk about shit tier projects. Oh, goodness gracious. Hang on. Y'all need visuals.
I have invoked trauma in Shiro. Did you notice, Lee?
I could see it. I could see it.
Jesus, Murphy Macaroni.
Did you just
Isn't that for
say,
lunch tomorrow?
wait, did you just say Jesus, Murphy, Macaroni?
I'm Canadian.
I
Yeah,
did.
did they not have that in Indiana? Jesus Murphy macaroni. It's on the top shelf next to the Sam's Choice.
All right.
Crap, in this case.
I'm not a fan of macaroni. What can I say? The mac and cheese never did it for me.
I'm out.
That's because you didn't have Kraft. Kraft macaroni and cheese is manna, okay? It is nectar. It is ambrosia. It is the best neon yellow pasta
it's
you've ever
just fine
had in
if
your
you
life.
just eat the elbows and leave out the cheese.
So,
I'm
this
offending Lee.
shit right here, okay? that I had to re-censor so I don't get in trouble.
You had to I love how you said
freaking
re-censor.
Okay. Notice how freaking mirrored that thing is. So this company that we shall not name, but rhymes with lower deck. You know, the famous Star Trek show. Like I was doing a couple sets for them before, and they pay like 1 peanut per card. And then they sent me this. And it's a card set that was for a very big company that I will not name, and I will not say who they rhyme with because it's going to be too freaking obvious.
Let's not. We deal with a lot of creators over here on the show, Shiro, from pretty much every company, from Stowe.
Exactly. See, that's why I got the little post-its around it. And they sent me a shit ton of these. And I had to draw on this buttery texture that shines on all of them for 1 peanut each. So what I had to do to get the drawing to stick on this is I had to buy Sharpies. And first of all, I hate Sharpies with the passion of 1,000 fiery suns. Okay? And yes, I will name them. Okay? Sharpies, shun you. So
unless you want to sponsor our comic Sharpie, in which case we love Sharpies.
Oh, absolutely. Sharpies.
Or if you want to sponsor the show, man, I got no problem with Sharpies. Like, it's all good. I use Sharpies. That's my preferred marker to be real honest. Don't hate me, Shiro. I'm sorry. I don't draw, though, so I just use them when I'm, like, marking things out or whatever. Yeah, so.
Oh, man, you want me to rant? Get me started on Photoshop. But we're not going to get started on Photoshop because we don't want this show to run until 3 a.m. So this piece of shit surface, I had to use Sharpies. Like, I had to buy Sharpies, first of all. Like, I had this whole collection. Now, Mom has them because I don't want them in my studio. Then I had to draw on them with no sketch, because if you draw a line on top of another line, it erases the first line. So I free-handed tons of characters, generic characters, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then I had to use my heat gun to bake the ink on these things.
I have to ask, Shiro, how many of those do you have that are blank?
I think 5 or 6, if not less. Let me count real quick.
Well, is it 5? Because if it's 5, I still want to do something on the show to drive some artists crazy and really give a test. And I know there's 5 artists
6.
up there. Oh, you got me plotting something else. We're going to make a real quick cut right here. Damn. All right. Back to Shiro's Rage.
Yes, let's get back into the character.
So wait, Shiro, let's just say. Can't believe I'm about to tell you that I think this is a good idea. And then I think you're about to tell me, look, I will kill you. I'm not doing that show. So you got 6 of those, right?
Yes.
What do you think about getting them to, 5 different artists, one of them being you, hosting a bit of a sketching pan com with those cards and see what happens?
Only if nobody sells them after, or else I'm going to get in big trouble.
Oh, because of the parts that you had to put over the Post-it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm sure I can find 4 other artists as far as individuals that would be fine with that coming on the show and doing that, because clearly they would have to mark it out with the Post-it, because I don't need any company coming after me like, what are you doing with all of that? I'll be like, dude, leave me alone. I know people. Look, if you hadn't said it as far as, and we were just having this conversation privately, I would literally just be like, I got a hold of them, dude. What? We can't do that. There's way too many times on the show where they could go back and clearly see that they were from you and not me. And I don't want any kind of backlash like that. But I kind of like that idea if we could get and plot that out. I don't think it'd be that tricky, and it could be very interesting just because it shows the discussion of the market that has been created with blank covers, sketch cards, all of these things, and the fact of sometimes the materials that these are made out of that make it difficult for any artist to do any work on them. Like, have they ever done a foil blank cover?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I would hope not. Like, this was
Hey,
hell.
Jay, I do have,
And
I
like
do
the
have a
story's not
suggestion.
even done about these shits there.
If you did want to do a sketch off, I'd be happy to donate a stack of Barbarian Queen Karybdis sketch cards. And if you wanted to auction those off for like a charity for like, that's upside down, Comic Book Legal Defense Fund or something like that. We had a stack of these made. Sure, actually did a few for our backers before. But we have a ton of branded sketch cards. I'd be happy to send you a stack of them. And if you want to do those for like your patrons or anything like that to try and help support the show or help support a charity or something like that.
I'm gonna make you send it to 5 artists, man. I don't want to have to. Like, look, Lee, mail this one here.
I don't care if they send,
Because yeah, I'm pretty sure we do honestly need to do something as far as a PanCon with some sketches. We got a PanCon that just dropped a while ago, which is our Comics Political, which was a very, very intriguing discussion with what Doug Wagner, Stephen Grant, and I do too many quests, and I haven't gotten to edit that one. And without looking, my brain can't remember, and I apologize for that. But that's because sometimes things get rescheduled, unscheduled, overscheduled, and whatever. You know what I mean? It happens, right? But with all that said in mind, man, for everybody out there, I hope you've enjoyed this quest. Check all the links in the descriptions, right, to make sure you can check out this book. It sounds phenomenal. You're going to have to pick these. Well, I mean, you're definitely going to see Shiro later. You're definitely going to see Lee back on the show here at some point in the near future. I know it. I can feel it. I can feel it, Lee. We're going to have to bug you more, right? Right? But what I want
Happy to be here.
what I want to let y'all know out there, everybody, right? If you've enjoyed this quest with me, what I want you to do is I want you, to send him the Lizard Man from their comic, right? Right? With the OG Ghostbusters Firehouse and a bunch of Butterfingers before they changed the recipe. Oh, and man, if you ain't bring up some Mexican food from tequilas with that, you just didn't do it right. Right? Now, if for some reason you didn't enjoy this quest, firstly, I ask again, why are you here? You have been here like an hour and a half, man. And if you've literally been sitting there for an hour and a half not enjoying yourself, I, as the creator and showrunner of the questionnaire, ask, please, will you go do something that's not annoying you, right? Because it's just from human to human, man. I don't want you to do something that's literally just causing you, any kind of discomfort, dread, annoyance, whatever. Don't, man. There's enough out there. Ain't none of y'all got to do that, right? But if you did, and you still hung around, and Lee's just like bugged the crap out of you, first what I want you to do, and he thinks it's a treat, but it's not. I want you to get you a bowl that's big enough to fit Lee in. It's got some wheels and everything on it, right? You take and you pour some Count Chocula.
Oh, yeah.
You pour some Count Chocula in there, right? And then what you do is you shove Lee in it. You have it drive straight to Burger King, right? While the entire time, the only thing on the radio is that really annoying ad music when you fill out the YouTube survey. And then he has to go to
God, I
Burger
know
King
exactly.
and sit in this bowl
Everyone knows that song.
while he waits in the longest Burger King line that has ever existed, with nothing more than YouTube ad music. But again, that is only if you didn't enjoy this quest. And I sincerely hope you have, man, right? Like I said, make sure you check out the links in the description. Patreon for additional banner on the before and after the quest, as Shiro can attest to. Sometimes it gets ridiculous. Sometimes I have to have the guy call back so we can get the after part. I'm looking at you, Kevin, right? But besides that, I just want y'all to do 3 more things, right? 1, always give it that thumbs up, right? 2, get your comic on. 3, have a good night, y'all.
This has been the questionnaire.
Where's the link?
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
In the link below, yes?
I will drop it like it's hot.
That's another party.
It's cool, man. I love it.
The questionnaire. That is all.